Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome around the globe to Kangen Water Radio, featuring the Kangen Water Health and Information International Call, where we consider, clarify, and often correct the conventional wisdom around Kangen water technology, the different machines, the science behind the different water types, uses, and benefits, the testing process, the maintenance and cleaning of the machines, and much, much more. We also explore a plethora of other topics as we teach, promote, and discuss the three-pronged approach to health and wellness, hydration, detoxification, and complete macro and micronutrition. I'm family physician Dr. Lisa Battle Singletary, your virtual keto coach, and I will be joined by my co-host and fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, a Magic 6A distributor extraordinaire. And together, we bring you the best of both worlds. So this is call number 408. Can you believe it? And we're talking about heart health today. Now, I had promised the people that we were going to talk about inflammation today. And of course, they're related because chronic inflammation is predominantly the underlying cause behind heart disease, heart ailments, heart attacks, heart all the things, all the heart things. Cardiovascular, not just heart, but hearts, blood vessels, strokes. And of course, disease in any organ or body system where the circulation is cut, or diminished. But I woke up today and I perused some health news sites, particularly the Google Health News. And I saw two articles there that I really wanted to highlight today. So we will do that. I'm not sure who's up first, Mr. Hope, me or you?
You know what, Sandra, let you go first. You're in such a role right now. Your energy is kicking. You're bright, gleaming. Hollywood 32s are shining the world over. So we'll get the floor to you.
I don't have lipstick on.
They're beautiful, just wonderful, wonderful. Hollywood.
Thank you. And speaking of Hollywood, Dale, I think you're going to tell me that my light might be a little hot, so I'm gonna tone it down a bit. I had it, to
actually, light was perfect. I loved it. You should brighten it back up. It's perfect for you. Brighten that thing back up. It's bringing the sun.
It looks a little different on the replay sometime, but
that's great. I can tell you right now.
Thank you. Okay, so here we go. The headlines were, I think I have a couple of them pulled up. They were about reviews to the science about heart health and nutrition. And of course, that caught my eye. Both heart and nutrition are very important to me, and you put them together, and I wanted to see what they were coming up with. So this review, and I found some really interesting things as I went through the article. Now, I will tell you, I do not agree with everything, with every conclusion they came up with, because they don't have the fundamental understanding of nutrition that we do. But remember, this is a review. So they searched PubMed, just like I searched PubMed, and looked at all of the articles that dealt with nutrition and heart health. So this is one of the first this may be the only article that I've ever brought before this audience of esteemed health conscious individuals that has this line. It is worth noting that funding sources and author affiliations present conflicts of interest. I usually don't even, if it doesn't say no conflict of interest, I don't even read the article, but I was really interested in, what this review would come up with. And very interestingly, they said the Mediterranean diet, great diet, hands down for heart health. And the conflict of interest, one of them was that the lead authors, the funding here, it says, came from Barila, the Center for Food and Nutrition, and that is a think tank created by the pasta giant Barila. Am I saying that right, Mr. Hope? You can tell me, and this organization, this think tank, endorses the Mediterranean diet, which was an endorsement shared by the research team. Now, they're not the only people or the only research team that endorsed the Mediterranean diet. But, you have to watch these things. But they had some other findings that were interesting enough that I decided to include the article today. So I just wanted to show you something. If you look this up, I Googled heart health and nutrition, and no, that's not how I found this, but that's one way you can find it, is to Google nutrition and heart health. And you'll see this in medical news today. So I'm giving Healthline a little bit of a break. We're not getting through the whole call without Healthline, so don't panic. But just looking at the article, I want you to be able to bring it up yourselves. But you see this line here that's blue. They present their conclusions in a new article in the European Society of Cardiology's journal, Cardiovascular Research. So not only are they, so this is out of this journal. It is a peer-reviewed journal. And if you click on this, you can see the actual journal article of the authors of the review that they did, and you can see the date. This is one thing that excited me. It was just published on the 6th of July of this year. And I do like it when we're the first ones out with, or when we're fresh out of the gate with some of our research. But I want you to see this right here. You see this PDF. If you click on the PDF right here, then you can download the entire article, which I did. So let's take a peek at some of the recommendations of this article. I'm going to find my PDF and share that with you. There we go. All right, so dietary recommendations for prevention of atherosclerosis, that is hardening of the arteries, or you could say chronic inflammation of the arteries or of the blood vessels. And they're looking for, of course, evidence of what diets to recommend. They definitely talk about replacing high glycemic index foods with lower glycemic index foods, but this whole grain business, we know grains come with gluten, wheat, barley, rye, and oats. So they're not focused on absorption of the nutrition and the role of the gastrointestinal tract as much as they are with the glycemic index. And I am going to do a call about the difference between the glycemic index and the glycemic load. That is a fascinating study. But here we go. Let's look at their chart of recommendations. So they've got, it's the stop sign, right? They've got green light, that means go, that means, really good. The yellow light, caution, or the yellow box, caution. And the red is warning, warning, danger, Will Robinson, look out. And again, I do not agree with all of these recommendations or with all of this conclusion, this summary, with under all circumstances. For instance, they put extra virgin olive oil in the green category and butter in the red category. Well, I'm not real mad with them because extra virgin olive oil is in the green category because they're in Italy, right? And like I told you, if you got an olive tree in the backyard and you could squeeze it out and you've got absolutely fresh, pristine, fresh squeezed, freshly squozen, right, olives, then olive oil is amazing. But once the fruit has been crushed and it is exposed to oxygen, and for however long it takes to get from that tree in Italy to your store shelf, who knows? Was it refrigerated all the way? Was it, not even, refrigeration slows down the oxidation a little bit, but once it's exposed to oxygen, it starts to oxidize, which is breaking down the integrity of the oil and causing trans fats, which are carcinogenic. So olive oil does not get a blanket green light. Like if they squeezed it yesterday and flew it over here today, yeah, that would be awesome. But with that not happening, you gotta watch it. And you can smell when you crack a bottle of oil and it's rancid before you've poured the first drop. That is one of the most disappointing things that I ever like. When I learned that is what I was smelling, that I was smelling the products of oxidation and the generation of carcinogenic compounds in that bottle that I just paid for. I just had a different outlook on these things. So yeah, they're in Italy, hands down, olive oil, great. Not so much here. Now we do in Baltimore have an olive oil factory, but I don't know the provenance of the grapes. I mean, of the olives and the, et cetera. But so I don't even though and I don't know how long it's on the shelf. I don't know how their processing plant functions. So I use butter. Okay. And but I'll tell you one thing that really is in agreement with the good food, bad food list, these processed meats, and not only processed foods in general, you're going to find problems. So as much as you can, stick with whole foods. I'm not talking about the store, but whole foods. Stick with the outside aisle of the grocery store. Use your, well, I started to say use your common sense. Sense isn't common, right? And also we get a lot of mixed messages from marketing, from the food industry, from big food, and of course, big pharma, et cetera. So you do have to be careful, and that's why you have the Kangen Water Health and Information, Kangen Water Radio, so we can point out these things, discuss these things, and give you strategies. And before I show you the good food, bad food list, I want to go back to the second article that caught my eye, and then the research that took me to. So the second article is called, and let me tell you, people, they were absolutely evil putting this picture on the article. I was like, no, don't show me that. On a summer Saturday with the sun shining and my niece's birthday. Oh, show me a big plate of ribs and greens and macaroni and cheese. But the title, Fried Foods, Sugary Drinks Linked to Sudden Cardiac Death. Why sudden cardiac death? Well, I guess it's kind of explanatory why sudden cardiac death is important. But this is the statistic that I used to teach in CPR classes, that for sudden cardiac deaths, for heart attacks, for 50% of sudden cardiac deaths, the first sign of heart disease is a heart attack. People are walking around, they're feeling bad. Yeah, I know they're not feeling good, but they're ignoring it. They're thinking, oh, I got indigestion, or I'm a little tired, or just, I'm burning the candle at both ends, and all the excuses. But they're having inflammation in their cardiovascular system. They're having angina. I just need to catch my breath a minute. And the straw that breaks the camel's back, which might be some of that barilla pasta, the fettuccine alfredo, and boom, it's like, and you do the autopsy, and oh yeah, they've had build up for years. But yeah, so people need to be aware. So sudden cardiac death accounts for 1 in 7.5 deaths in the United States. Huge. And one of the things that I found interesting in this is they talked about not just what individuals ate, but they wanted to find out like regional patterns of diets. And so they talked about dietary patterns. Now, this was a pretty substantial study. The reasons for geographic and racial differences in stroke. Now, wait a minute, we were talking about the heart. No, we were talking about inflammation. No, now we're talking about the stroke. It's all the same, right? If you have inflammation in your kidney, in your renal arteries, guess what? You got inflammation in other places. So a stroke is a brain attack, right? As opposed to a heart attack. So if we can decrease the risk of disease in the cerebral vascular system, we can decrease the risk in the entire cardiovascular system. All right, this was a big study. 30,000 African Americans and white adults age 45 years or older, and it went over 4 years. 33% were Black, 56% were women. And a total of 56% lived in the southeastern United States, which is, they call that the stroke belt, largely because of their diet. So they found patterns, and this was the thing that interested me. They identified 5 dietary patterns. Which one are you? Number 1, the convenience pattern. This dietary pattern primarily consisted of pasta, pizza, Mexican, and Chinese food. Number 2, the plant-based pattern. People following this pattern ate lots of vegetables, fruits, cereals, legumes, yogurt, chicken, and fish. I read another article today. I didn't put the article up, but it was because it was messing with my computer. You know, those ones that never load completely because they have so many ads and stuff. It was like, ugh. So, but there was one quote that someone used, a rule of thumb, when they talked about proteins and animal proteins in particular. They said the fewer legs the animal has, the better. So that would be the hierarchy: fish being the healthiest, then poultry, then red meat, or meats, cows and whatnot. So I just thought that was interesting. I had never heard that. I've heard some vegetarians don't eat anything that had a head, or people have different rules of thumbs, but I've never heard that rule of thumb before. So count the legs. All right. All right, third pattern, the sweets pattern. This includes high amounts of dessert, candy, chocolate, and sugary cereal. Obviously, the patterns are not exclusive. Some people will combine. The Southern pattern, that's what they showed that picture of: high in fried foods, sweetened drinks, processed and organ meats, and eggs. Now, don't get me started on eggs. I didn't see if they were vilifying eggs or not, but eggs, they're good. Okay. And number 5, the alcohol and salad pattern. How about that? People following this pattern consume lots of leafy greens, dressings, tomatoes, and alcoholic beverages. And definitely they found that the Southern diet increases risk. So I went to PubMed and I had to search dietary patterns. And I found a couple of articles. Here's one: dietary patterns and the risk of cardiovascular disease. Now, the patterns they talked about were the paleo diet, and that was what I expected when I saw that the first article was talking about dietary patterns. Paleo, vegetarian, vegan, the DASH diet, Nordic, Mediterranean. And this statement was interesting: many contradictions remaining. So yeah, it's more than just one thing. You got to take a lot of things into consideration, including what nutrients are available in the foods from the soil, which they're not, and what nutrients, the little bit of nutrients that might be in the food, can be absorbed through a usually unhealthy gut. Okay, there was another one: dietary patterns and cardiometabolic outcomes in diabetes. Wait a minute, you're talking about heart disease, now you're talking about diabetes. All related, right? So, but again, no one has the whole picture as far as all of these research. I mean, there's a little bit of truth here, a little bit of truth there, but they're not taking everything into consideration. So I called this show, or the title of the show was Healthy Heart Health Headlines. So those were the headlines, and hacks. And so I got 2 hacks for you. One is this article by Healthline, 28 healthy heart tips. So I'm going to definitely put this in the show resources inside the YouTube replay. But let's just read the headlines. Stop smoking, focus on the middle, meaning your waistline. Maybe, do they put them all? Anyway, play between the sheets, have sex, right? And can we extend that to physical activity? Yes. Also, pleasure, the doing pleasurable activities. So knit a scarf, relaxing, unwinding. Power up your salsa. A good salsa rich in antioxidants is a great snacking choice when paired with low fat chips. Well, I would say low carb chips, but depends, right? Depends on the chips, but definitely fresh veggies. Let the music move you. Go fish, lots of omega-3 fatty acids. Laugh out loud. Remember, laughter is good medicine. Stretch it out. Yoga, not for me. I'm more of a Pilates girl, but you know, stretching, absolutely. Raise a glass. Now, we had an article recently that said no amount of alcohol is good for your brain. But you know, the red wine with the resveratrol, possibly the resveratrol has a protective effect because it's such a powerful antioxidant. Fortunately, you can get resveratrol from not just because that's the grape seed, from the grape seed. It's not just in wine, it's also in Concord grape juice. It's also, it's in many, many supplements. So keep your eye out for resveratrol. So you may not need the alcohol to get the benefits. Shun the salt. I don't across the board agree with this one. Your body particularly your stomach, but your body, salt is a sodium and chloride. Your body needs sodium to maintain homeostasis. So I know why they say this, but I think they're a little bit confused about what the underlying problem is. So Dr. Wallach would say salt to taste, because the chemical factory in your tongue is also part of your homeostasis in your body. When you are salt depleted, you're going to crave sodium, and vice versa. So, if something's too salty for you, you're not going to eat it, right? So, but it's not just a matter of preference, it's also a matter of the chemical balance inside your body, and your body's real smart about that. So salt to taste. Move it, move it, move it. Stand up every hour, or get those desks that let you work while you stand, or, you can change the height of the desk, etc. So many things you can do. Sitting on a ball, an exercise ball, instead of sitting on a regular chair, lots of things. Okay, know your numbers. It's easy to keep track of your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and not only your blood, but your urine. You can get urine dipsticks and, make sure there's no protein or blood in your urine. It's really easy to catch many of the warning signs. Eat chocolate. Dark chocolate, rich, dark chocolate has the flavonoids that are antioxidant. Let housework work for you. So yeah, that's part of keeping moving. Go nuts, particularly almonds, walnuts. Not so much peanuts, right? Because they have lectins, and because often they are moldy, and so they can have aflatoxin. And that's why they're on the bad food list. Be a kid. Fitness doesn't have to be boring. Consider pet therapy. Start and stop during aerobic workouts, interval training. So speed up sometimes, slow down sometimes. When I used to in not just in college, but when you're exercising around the track, it's like you run on the straight and then you walk the curve, and then you run on the straight and walk the curve, or whatever. Just, many, many strategies. Cut the fat. Well, if you're in a keto lifestyle, fat's your friend, healthy fat. So that's not resonating with me so much. I think cutting the carbs is something that everybody should do, even if you have proteins and fats in different ratios. But cutting the carbs, when you adjust those numbers, you're going to decrease the amount of inflammation that's caused by your diet. Make time for breakfast. If you're intermittent fasting, you pick your food window, but stick with your food window so that your body has time to rest and digest. Fake your fitness. Oh, I didn't read that one. Sneak it in. Oh, okay. Park on the far side of the parking lot, take the stairs, walk and talk with a friend instead of emailing. We can do that now. Play with your kids in the park. It all adds up to better health. Okay. Brew up a healthy heart potion. Yeah, green tea or black tea. Smile and say, how does my heart look? So good dental hygiene. Yeah, I've read several articles about the effects of dental hygiene and cardiovascular health. Walk it off, pump some iron, find your happy place. So your mind, your stress level is also very, very important. Okay, so I think I'll stop there. Maybe we'll show the good food, bad food list a little later. I think now is a good time to invite to the call our amazing fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, a Magic 6A distributor extraordinaire, the vigilant, persistent, consistent health advocate to the stars and to the globe. Mr. Hope, welcome to the call, sir.
Dr. Singletary, God bless you. Glad to be here, and glad to be here with everybody from around the country, and in some cases from around the globe when they join us. And thank you all for joining us here on the Kangen Water Health Information Call here on Kangen Water Radio with Dr. Lisa Singletary. Yay! I have so much fun every day we do this call. I'm so glad that you chose this topic today, and it's timely in many ways. And the importance of heart health, how our heart is doing, how to maintain our heart properly, what things to look at in terms of our food, our environment, keeping ourselves happy, keeping ourselves in an environment where the heart can be fueled, and overall health, even smiling and laughing and walking on the sunny side of the street. I saw one of those items you had there that said, take the scenic route home. There's so many beautiful things in our lives.
I know you love that. Top down.
Amen, right? And there's so many things in our lives that we can take advantage of in that category. What route do you take home? I know some people they live in a location that's pretty beautiful, right? Now, to get home, they can go one way, which goes to a lot of like little urban areas and tight congestion and highways and hustle and bustle. And they can go another way, which they very rarely think about, that actually goes past parks and a beach and a horse ranch. And so which route do they take? They take the urban route, not really realizing that just as easy and more beautiful is that almost suburban route sitting right on the borderline of where their home is.
I'm just taking a deep breath, thinking about the trees and the sunlight peeking through the leaves.
And a beautiful scenery it is, and a beautiful imagery as well. So, and I'm very glad that you touched on the subject matter today. There's so many things that can affect our heart, from how we eat to our lifestyles to things like smoking, which is, I'll give people a pass on who smoke cigarettes, and I'll say to them all, that's not their fault. someone advertised that to you, focused on you, try to make sure that you as a human being got that as a desire, and then gave it to you and said it's okay, when in fact it was never okay. So we can get manipulated to things and have no idea that's what's happening in our lives, But smoking and these different things in our lifestyle that can cause so many problems. We want to clear the air, keep the fresh air, eat full nutrition, eat purified, drink purified water, get a nutritious, rich, diet, so we can thrive and do well.
Wasn't the air great last year when cars were off the road because we were in lockdown?
So I heard. And I tell you the truth, these days, of course, we've got more concerns about the air even these days. The U.S. Senate held a hearing with our health professionals and revealed that the virus environment that we have been exposed to was actually bioengineered. It didn't occur naturally.
Oh, yeah.
And was funded by our U.S. government. Not much conversation on that on the larger scale media, but people need to be aware. And I'm very concerned about how that bioengineered virus is affecting heart health as well. Maybe something to look at closer another day. But we're hearing
absolutely. The spike proteins targeting the heart tissue for sure.
Yeah, and maybe trying to find more ways that we can counteract that. Because I'd like to see what the statistics are. But I'm hearing just in, hearsay here or there, or more incidents of people having heart problems or dying of heart attacks or strokes. And some of these people I would otherwise consider to be healthy, and not one that would normally be in a situation where this would occur. One of our famous rap artists just the other day is gone. I didn't see the information on why. I keep saying he's gone, but no one is saying what happened. And I've seen that much too often, over the past, my lifetime. If someone passed away, they always say why. Marvin Hagler, the boxer, passed away suddenly. The article was filled with that he passed away and we're sorry, but there was no why. DMX, died of a sudden heart attack, said to be of an overdose, and there was contradictory information about that, saying that his involvement with illicit substances was not as great as people were saying they were. So it seemed a bit odd that he suddenly passed away. Honestly, if anything ever happened to me, I'm constantly being a person who's more of a nutrition conscious, health conscious, exercise conscious, anti-inflammatory taking. So if I ever had any kind of problem, one has to ask himself, well, how could that happen? He's got all these different things going on. How could he have these different problems, and how could that occur? So my concern becomes of the overall environment that we're exposed to, which is anomalous to some degree, yet certainly different than what would normally be exposed to. And we talk about the things that we are commonly exposed to, but we are in an uncommon time now, and there's another X factor involved. What is the effect of bioengineered viruses on the heart health of the human population? And of course, you mentioned the spike proteins and that they attack the heart tissue. Maybe a real area we have to really address. Once again, too many young people suddenly passing away. And I'm hearing the stories in various countries.
I have a friend that called me maybe 4 or 5 nights ago. And sorry. I'm trying to stop this.
That's okay. All sounds from Dr. Singletary, good sounds.
I want to send you, I'm trying to send you something that was directly relevant to what you commented on, but I didn't want to necessarily pull it up. But a friend of mine, she called me like 5 nights ago. 11 o'clock. And, hey, how you doing? I'm just here worried about, my husband. I was like, oh, what's the matter? He had run around Montebello Lake a couple times. He's like Iron Man, doing pull-ups and running around the lake. And I said, well, what's up? Well, his heart rate was like 200. And, he felt okay. Well, he felt a little funny, but he wasn't having chest pain, but his heart rate was 200. And they couldn't get it down. And, I asked him about gluten. I asked him about and he'd been to McDonald's earlier that day. Like, great, you're running and doing pull-ups and this and that. I asked about hydration and stuff. He said, well, and salt intake, all these things. I was at, and that's how the McDonald's came. I think my salt intake's pretty good because it's like, okay, that's not the prescription. Go to McDonald's to get your salt, right?
No.
But they kept him in the hospital for a couple of days. They had to give him adenosine. Well, she didn't say the drug, but I'm, knowing what I know, I think it was adenosine, to basically stop his heart and then let it like try to reboot to get its regular rhythm back. And when they let him go, they said, you have the heart of a bull. You have a wonderful heart. Your heart is strong. They did a cath, right, to try to figure all this out. Your arteries are clear. We have no idea why this happened, and it might happen again. We don't know. That's all they could tell him. Was this a result of some spike protein, interference, antibodies, or whatever? I don't know. But interestingly enough, they didn't even consider that history in him, that he had gotten an inoculation. So,
and it's very, very concerning, regarding the inoculations and just the overall bioengineered virus that's leaked out here. However it got out here is in the environment, and that something could attack the heart tissue and to be so specific, and it's unfortunate that something like this was bioengineered for the purpose of attacking certain areas. Even the lab in China that developed it was known as the I think it was the novel respiratory so-and-so virus lab. And you're purposely creating something that's going to infect and hurt and damage in a very specific way. Who does that? As the kids say, who does that?
I have another friend that got that same inoculation, like before traveling out of the country, and a few days later started urinating blood and clots, and we've heard a lot about clotting with that. And he went to his doctor, and they treated him for a urinary tract infection. It was like, and again, no discussion of any risk factors regarding that. So I don't think we'll ever know the truth.
Everybody's missing the proverbial elephant in the room, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that elephant's hidden very, very strategically in the room.
Yeah. So, other factors to be concerned to be aware of. I know that the.
Could I interrupt you?
Okay.
Because you said something about your being antioxidant taking, and all the healthy strategies. Let's just say the 3-pronged approach. And when I do see, I don't seek out information like this, but it does come to me. And some of the remedies or protections that, people are using in different cultures and in different, I'll just say different locations, all of them, to me, ring back to the three-pronged approach somehow. They're hydrating, they're detoxifying, and they are adding antioxidants and other nutritional elements. And I think they are nourishing and supporting their immune system. So I'm very encouraged by that.
Yeah, and one of the things I was going to mention was our turmeric based Wukon. Its anti-inflammatory effects and its cell rebuilding effects, from the molecular hydrogen. Because if the spike protein can break down heart tissue, we're going to have to rebuild that. And what I'm going to need is something that can compromise the spike protein, because we have to repair, but also we have to prevent that missile attack. And so one of my questions would be, what can compromise a spike protein? And maybe something to look at, in the future of what we can, information we can share to people.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're actually in the zone talking about inflammation, right, and talking about the immune system. And I was on the phone with someone 2 nights ago now, who is having two surgical procedures 11 days apart. I'm like, and she complains about having low energy. Now she's got other problems she's not talking about, but I was like, okay, let's start there. If the body has so much energy and it has to divert the energy to an area that's inflamed, and it has to, put out fires, it has to do what it does in order to heal or at least patch up that area, well, that's leaving other areas vulnerable. Doesn't it make sense to nourish, support, and detoxify your whole body so that your immune system doesn't have to rob Peter to pay Paul, which is what her body is in the process of doing right now. So yeah, as far as, documentation or whatever, I'm not holding out hope that there's going to be reliable research funded for that.
For the purpose of?
What can we do to mitigate either the proteins or the current fix, the inoculation? Like, what can we do to cut down the side effects, or cut down the actual need or the susceptibility?
Sorry about that walk away. But if we look at the Warburg effect, for example, and we look at cancer cell metabolism, and they're using enzyme inhibitors to eliminate the presence of lactate, in one example of cutting off the metabolism or the source needed for the cancer cell to produce ATP. So enzyme inhibitor. When it comes to a spike protein, is there something similar, an enzyme that would be similar, or some kind of approach that would be similar? Is there an element that can compromise a spike protein?
Absolutely, the elements in your body. And this is the thing, those inhibitors, those things, I mean, just from an approach, the medical approach is usually to block something, right? As opposed to the natural approach, which is to help build up the body's ability to handle something. So, you know, that's where my focus is. What can we do to?
Right. So I'll be looking for those things and see if I can find something to share. You know, because that'll be certainly something that people should have in their little medicine cabinet, or the nutrition cabinet in our cases, yes. So that they can address that issue. We don't want heart weakness, heart straining, heart inflammation from now another direction that we would need to approach maybe in an enhanced way in our nutrition program to deal with an attack on the heart. So that one can be a perfectly healthy individual, like your friend's husband, who's like a decathlete, does pull-ups, does push-ups, runs around the lake, 2 or 3 times a day, is known for great heart health. Oh, and then suddenly he has a heart problem. And so I don't think anything is sudden. What I mean by that, there's a reason for everything. So something happens. Everything. So I don't know if we want to take some questions right now in this part of the call. I know that this subject matter certainly caught my attention, so I kind of dug in with you a bit there.
All right, so we're open. We can you can type questions into the chat. You can raise your hand. While we do wait for questions, perhaps I could share the good food, bad food list. All right. So when I do share this list, and this is not the first time we've mentioned this list on the call, I feel like we've talked about it, at least 100 times out of the 400 calls that we've had, but maybe not that much. But this is the key. This is the hack of the good food, bad food list. And I hope you've heard me say this before. It's more important to avoid the bad foods than which of the good foods you choose.
Wow.
And that's one reason I think there's so much confusion in those dietary patterns and being able to say which diet is good or which diet is bad, because it doesn't matter what you eat, right? If you're hydrated, if you're detoxing, if you're nutrified, you just need to avoid the foods that inflame your stomach, inflame your body, and promote carcinogens. So you avoid that. It doesn't matter what you eat. So let me bring up the PowerPoint.
So more important to avoid the bad foods.
Yeah. So even if we didn't, we don't need a good foods list. The only reason we need a good foods list is people look at the bad foods and like, oh, what can I eat? And so we're like, look, you got all this stuff on the good food list. But the bad food list, no wheat, barley, rye, or oats, right? So, which is the gluten. Now, I'm glad they put this here. I did not write this list, but I'm glad this list includes this caveat on oats, because oats are so healthy, right? But they contain, what is gluten? Gluten is a protein that grains produce because they don't like to be eaten. So it's a protein that does bad things in digestive systems, so to train animals to leave them alone.
Mm.
Well, the protein in wheat is called gluten. The protein, let's see, barley, is it gliadin? Rye, I'm not sure, but the protein in oats is called avenin, but it is a cousin of gluten. So it does the same thing, maybe not to the exact same aspect. There are certainly people that seem to tolerate it better than they tolerate wheat. You know, I'm thinking about people with celiac disease that get violently ill when they consume gluten. And, you know, they seem to be able to tolerate some oats, but we're talking about someone who has done over 20,000 autopsies on people who've died of chronic disease and looked inside their intestines and seen the effects of gluten on their leaky guts. So no wheat, barley, rye, or oats, no fried foods, no oils. That's what we talked about. No oil of any kind. This includes olive oil. Now, if the olive oil is from the olive tree in your backyard, beautiful. If, and I hope someone will do this, and maybe I'll meet someone that's got the juice that can do this, but if they will package if they'll squeeze the olives in a nitrogen rich, oxygen free environment and package it in hermetically sealed individual use aliquots and never have exposure to oxygen, I'd be totally down with paying extra money for that. Because I like cooking with olive oil, but I don't do it anymore. Will if I ever go to Italy. Okay. All right. When well done meat, what does that mean? Doesn't the issue is that when you get the Maillard reaction, the grill marks, or the crusting, you know, the burnt ends on the meat, that produces, again, carcinogenic compounds called heterocyclamines. I think that's the word.
Yeah, sure.
And that happens when you cook on direct heat on dry heat. So grilling.
Like a barbecue.
Like a barbecue. When you get those grill marks, like I said, or roasting in an oven.
And that's the good stuff, right? Get those grill marks in there and get that big fire going.
The flavor, my taste buds mourn the flavor of, you know, losing the flavor, but it's like
inflammation on the digestive tract.
We're developing flavor in the pressure cooker, because moist heat, when you saute, braise, steam, and, you know, pressure cook, those compounds don't develop.
And Dr. Singletary, I wanted to point out, because there's a couple of times you've gone over the subject of salt. You made a mention of it a couple of times. I see it on the good food list over there. And sometimes people can be confused because you need salt. Your body needs salt to metabolize energy into everything that it does. You cannot be void of salt. So if your doctor otherwise says, well, no, avoid salt because you have a heart issue, are they giving you the right advice? And the answer is no. And so, but it comes down to, I think, what kind of salts, because now there's a processed salt known as iodized salt, and then there's salt from the ocean, as we should be ingesting, and they're really two different things, and there may be more damaging
from the ancient ocean.
Yeah,
not necessarily this ocean.
Okay, I can't get it from the Atlantic right here.
Yeah. Don't do your science experiment on the Chesapeake Bay. No.
On the Chesapeake Bay, you know, but that the salt we should be, you know, getting is more of a raw salt, and not a processed one. And that may be where some of the issues are. You know, it could, because a person is told that they should avoid salt for their heart issues. 6 months later,
your doctor,
6 months later, they're told they've got a saline deficiency. Well, guess where that came from? Yeah,
your doctor doesn't know anything about Himalayan
nutrition.
salt and the Celtic salt and but your body knows, right? You're right. And those salts contain minerals that are very important. And
Sure.
you mentioned iodized salt. I actually, on my list of future shows to do, I do have iodine as one of the topics that I'll be talking about sometime in the near future.
The difference between iodized salt and sea salt?
Iodine in general, what iodine does in the body, what foods have iodine in it. And yes, I would include the salt
Equation.
distinguish. Ooh, did you hear that?
That lightning?
Yeah.
Wow. Exciting. Hey, speaking of lightning, but I know we've got to go soon. And I should probably give them a couple of words on Kangen water as we exit. I thought we might have some more questions about these food and diet, but I didn't see any. Is that okay, Dr. Secretary?
Please do.
Maybe that was God giving us a sign. Hey, talk about Kangen water. How about that? Get that boy a lightning strike, would you? So here we go. Quick sharing. 1, 2, and 3. Here on the Kangen Water Health and Information Call, we talk about as well nutrition and Kangen water. Yay! So just reminding everybody, what is Kangen water? That's right. I drill it in your minds every time you hear me talk. Electrolyzed reduced water, because we keep saying, as much as we talk about ERW, alkaline water, and we're gonna get away from that little conversation. So electrolyzed reduced water is what Kangen water is. Look up this subject matter when you want to know the health benefits. Here's your Kangen water, and here are the 7 types of water that we produce in our Kangen water machines. This is our SD501, Kangen water 8.5, 9.0, 9.5, neutral pH water, acidic water known as beauty water, strong Kangen water, which is 11.5 water, and strong acidic water, which is for sterilizing surfaces. How does this happen? That's right, with a lightning strike, as Dr. Secretary's background let us know. When you hit water with electricity, you create a division, a breakdown of the actual water molecule, yeah? So here we are, kapow, as the lightning strike said, the electricity hitting water, and it'll break that H2O down to 2 elements. One of them is known as the OH negative or hydroxide ion. The other one is known as H plus, or the hydrogen atom. And we end up with this molecule in our Kangen water, along with a series of other antioxidant molecules. We're using the alkalinity of Kangen water as a measuring tool of the overall volume of antioxidant molecules in water at a time in our system. So we have all this action going on, producing this cluster of a new structure with this alkaline molecule with our water, but there are also many other antioxidant molecules involved. The greater the number of these alkaline molecules in the water, known as OH negative, the greater the volume overall, the antioxidant molecules present. And what we want to do is detox the body, yeah? So here's our ORP chart. Negative ORP, positive ORP. This refers to when we use our ORP meter that measures in millivolts the negative charge or positive charge of a liquid substance, whether something is antioxidant or detoxing for the body, or whether it is oxidizing and lacks the ability to detox. So we see here on the Kangen water, on the ORP chart, here Kangen water is listed as a negative 400. Here's the number, 0, and here's the positive 400. This scale shows you the negative or the positive charge of a liquid substance. 0, of course, being the centerpiece. So the higher the negative number, the greater the antioxidant effect of the substance. The higher the positive number, the greater the oxidizing effect of the substance. So we hear Kangen water is over here at a negative 400 on this chart, while soda, pure tap water, some of the bottled water we get are sitting on more of the positive charge on this chart. So we want to stay more on the negative ORP side in our liquid substances. We can see things like green tea, even vitamin C has an antioxidant effect. But when we look at things like tap water, which is full of chlorine, soda, which is highly carbonated beverages, reverse osmosis water, distilled waters, these are more oxidizing. Avoid these. The whole job of our water is making your body more antioxidant. Yeah. So the body is self-healing as long as you give it what it needs to heal properly, which is nutrition, hydration, detoxification. Notice that animals in the wild are never ill and don't suffer from any of the chronic illnesses that we do as humans. Put a bandage on a cut, put a cast on a break in the body. We know that the body is self-healing at the depths of the bones, the surface of the skin. Well, that continues right down to the cellular level within the body, as long as you've got proper hydration, nutrition, and detoxification. Just doing a quick little summary here today on our call, so we understand the importance that water has within our body, that we want to have an antioxidant water occurring throughout the cells, so we can detox properly and bring our body into a state where it could be more self-healing. Different organs in the body have different pH levels. So the stomach is acidic, the intestines are acidic. For women, the reproductive system is acidic. The saliva or the can range from acidic to alkaline. The heart and the bloodstream, we're talking today about heart health, can be more in the alkaline range. All of these ranges of pH must be within their equilibrium points simultaneously. The body is not alkaline. The body is acidic and alkaline, and all the organs must be in their acidic range or alkaline range, pertaining to its need for you to be healthy. Drink Kangen water, eat healthy foods, keep your body at full nutrition, keep it detox, it'll keep itself at pH balance, and thereby you could be healthy. So some basic things we need to understand about what Kangen water is, how it works within the body, why we're using it to keep healthy, and why it's beneficial. Dr. Singletary, perhaps we might make our way out, because I know we're a bit over time right now. And thank you for the time. Oh, you're muted, Dr. Singletary, or somehow not being heard. There you are.
Thank you for joining us today, everyone. And we would just want to remind you of a couple of things. So we're going to be here on Wednesday, continuing this discussion. The underlying discussion is chronic inflammation. And, we went through a whole gamut of topics today, but underlying all of them, every single one of them, was chronic inflammation. So we're going to talk about inflammation, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Wow. Important for us to know.
On Wednesday, we will have 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. Dubai, at Dr. Lisa Health Zoom. And again, on Saturday, we'll be here on Kangen Water Radio Zoom. If you have questions in between times, or if you want to get a copy of the Good Food, Bad Food list, or any of our call resources, you can call or text area code 866-526-4368. That's 866-526-4368, US toll free. You can email us at kwnation7@gmail.com. That's KWNation, the number 7 at gmail.com. And for the replay, little go to YouTube and search Kangen Water Radio, and all of the resources will be there in the description box. Final words, Mr. Hope?
Drink Kangen water, eat nutritious food, avoid the bad foods, stick to the good foods, and always drive on the sunny side of the street. Or walk on the sunny side of the street.
We love you. Mwah.
Take care, everyone.